your car have this problem? It's probably why you're watching this video. ABS lights on, brake light on, comes on intermittently as you're driving. Well, we're gonna fix it. So I attached my scan tool and I did verify that the vehicle did throw a ABS error code, which was C0265, which is a valve relay coil open. And that indicates to me that there is a bad solder joint on the relay that's attached to the circuit board in the ABS module. So we're going to take it out of the vehicle and open up the ABS module and see if we can find the bad solder joint. All right, so we're under the truck. And again, this is a 2001 Chevrolet Tahoe. So this is your ABS module. This is the driver's side. Here's the frame. And this is pretty much, I guess, kind of look under the driver's seat is where it kind of is. But it's on the inside of the frame rail, right here. And so, to get this off, there's 4 screws. If you can see, there's one here on this plate here, one in the back side, and another one on the back side. So like basically 4 corners right there. So it's a Torx 20. And so I broke these loose so I can speed up the video. You got to be very careful because they strip so easy. I've done this before on my Silverado. But anyway, so then you can get your I have just a little ratchet with a Torx 20 a bit on it, and it fits just perfect. And you can get to each one, and make sure you put a lot of down pressure when you break these loose before you do it. But once you get them loose, they come right out. And so, but again, put a lot of downforce because you don't want to strip the head of the screw. I did it on my Silverado, and they end up cutting the top of the screw off so that it just wasn't holding on anymore. And then I was able to, after I got the other 3 screws out, I was able to lift this off and just take a pair of pliers and unscrew the thread part of the screw that goes down into here. But anyway, so just take your time. But then once you get them loose, you can take your bit and just unscrew them, and then I'll show you what they look like. Hope my hand's not in the way here. But there we go. All right, so, but again, and I don't know if it would help to maybe squirt just a pinch of PB, blaster, or some kind of WD-40, something to kind of loosen it up ahead of time. And so that's what the screw looks like. And again, there's 4 of them, and there's the head on the screw. You can see that in the video. But anyway, so it's 4 of them. And just take out all 4. I've already got the back one out on the back side, on the back, but anyway, I think you get the idea. If you want to, I'll continue videoing, but if you want to speed up the video, get this, and I'll show you how to take the electrical connections off. So let me get this one out. There's another one right there. And on the front here. But again, like I said, yeah, a little penetrating oil might let it sit on here for just a little bit to get them loose. I'll show you something else I did. Let me get this one out. There we go. Oop. Come on. Okay, there we go. Also, what I did is before, I messed up the camera there. No. Before I took the screws out, I took this little brush. I have this little brush here, and I brushed the top of the screw heads to clean out the top of the screws so that the Torx 20-bit would get further down in there. All right, so once you've got your screws out, this plug right here, you just pull back, and let's see here. Get two hands in here going. Yeah, there you go. Just comes straight down. Keep up in the camera here. So that just comes straight down. Okay, and then this other plug, it has this little purple tab here, pink or purple tab. Anyway, just you pop it down, pull the tab down like that, and it just sits like that. It can fall out, but you can always put it back. And then you just depress here and pull down. And then you've got that's all your wiring harness. And then you got your ABS module right here. Just lift it straight off the top. Pull it out. And then you'll notice, if I can show you here, there's another wire harness on the back side, right under here. And same thing. Let's see if you can see it. But pull the tab. There you go. All I'll do is pull the tab down here, and then it slides right out of here. So now you've got your module off, and this is where, it sits. Again, it's sitting like this, but this is where those 4 screws are, and those holes, and that's it. Just sits on top. So now I'm going to take it inside, and we're going to take it apart, and there's like RTV sealant that holds this top on right here. And we're going to take it apart and check the solder connections and see if we can repair it. All right, so now that we've removed the ABS module from the vehicle, the next step, we are going to separate it. And there is a little rubber gasket that goes all the way around. And there's in this particular model, there's no screws or anything holding the top to the bottom. So what we're going to do is take an X-Acto knife, a razor knife, and trim and work our way around here and separate the top from the module here. Here we go. We're going to start trying to trim it and get it apart. Okay, so I continued trimming, and it took me a while, and I just kept going until it got a little deeper and deeper, and finally this got loose, and I was able to stick a screwdriver just barely inside, enough to catch on the edge and start prying it up. And I went around, and as I would turn the screwdriver and kind of hold it in position, then I would take the knife and just trim a little more of the gasket away, and then eventually I was able to pry it up, and then it comes off. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all the old gasket material off from the top piece and the bottom. And then I'm going to show you which parts that I'm going to resolder. And basically, it's going to be this point here, these four. Then there's 4 down here. And I'm going to, these 4 right here. And I can see this one here and this one here are not bright, shiny solder. Again, I don't know which solder joint is bad, but I'm going to just reflow a little solder onto each one of these big ones here, these 4 down here, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12 here. And I'm also going to get my, see if I can get my magnifying glasses out and see if, if I can find any joints that look bad. I'll just kind of look over the whole board, and then we'll put some gasket back on and reseal it down. So it just take your time cutting this gasket off. You can see how deep it is and how far to go. Again, you don't want to cut into your board, and then just work your way around. It took me just a little while to do it, just because I was trying to be real careful not to, get gouged too deep in the board or cut me. So let me get these cleaned up, and I don't want to bore you with that. I'm just going to take and scrape and get all this stuff off, and then we'll get to soldering. Okay, so now that I've got it apart, I'm getting ready to solder the connections. I just got a little soldering paste. It helps the solder attach a little better. And all I'm going to do is just touch a little bit to the connections, just to get some on there. You don't have to use this, but it's supposed to help the solder attach better to the fitting. So I've got these 4 here. I know for sure where one of my bad ones is. It's this one right here. And I've tried to make a bigger picture that I'll add to the video, but you can actually see, I put my magnifying glasses on, and you can actually see in this one there's a crack in the solder. And so I believe the relay is under this. I'm not 100% sure. But what we're going to do is touch up each one of these connections. We're going to heat it up and reflow some solder on the connection. But this particular one right here, when you zoom in, you can see there's a crack underneath here. And again, I'll try to show that to you. I'll add that to the video. So upon closer examination, I did find actually 2 bad solder joints that are on the relay, and you can look at the picture and actually see kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for a crack in one of the solder joints, but again, we're going to fix these, and we're going to go ahead and reflow solder on all the other main joints just for backup. But I'm pretty sure that this is my problem child right here. But you can see the solder is not smooth. Where, when I look at these over here, these they look real nice and smooth, and I think they're fine. Again, I'm going to reflow each one of these. And but I think my problem child is this one for sure right here. There's 2 of them. This one and the one on the other side that appear to have little cracks on them. So I'm not a professional at this. If you don't feel comfortable with soldering, and you want to take this apart, then, take this to someone and, have them reflow the solder. So I've got these 4 right here, these 5 right there. Then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then there's these 4 right here that they seem to be the problem also, or can be. Again, mine look good, but I'm just, again, going to add solder to them again just to make sure. And I think there's another one right here. And so now we're ready to start soldering. So again, if you don't feel comfortable soldering, then hire somebody to do it. So I've already added some solder to the tip of my solder gun, or soldering iron, and it's called tinning. And you put a little solder on there to get nice and smooth, then you wipe it off on a damp sponge. So remember, when you solder, you want to heat the joint and not the solder. You want the joint to get hot, and then when you touch the solder will flow onto the joint. So let me get started with that. Okay, so now that I've got all the joints, the solder, and reflowed, I'd put that paste on there, the soldering paste, and so now I'm going to go back and just take a little rubbing alcohol. This is 91% isopropyl alcohol, if that's how you pronounce it. And I'm just going to go around the joints and just clean off all the stuff that I did. That'll just make it look nicer later. And won't get that just cleaned off all the, so it won't change color and keep the joint fresher. So I'm going to do this to all the joints that I soldered, and then we're going to put the sealer around the gasket sealer and clean it up, put it back together. So I'll get back to you after I'm done with that. Okay, the next step is, if you notice on the board here, when this was put back on, or when it was taken off, it had this pink. And what this is thermal paste, a heat sink. It transfers heat off of the board. And so I live in a small little town, and there's no electronic stores really per se to get any of this stuff. And then I didn't want to order on Amazon or wait. So I went to my local TV repair shop here in our little town, and they've got the guy had some, and I didn't have to pay for it. He just dabbed a little bit on each one of the spots for me, so I'm ready to put it back together. Whether you have to put this back on or not, I don't know. The original stuff's still there, and how well it works though, it's been on there for 100,000 miles or more. so I don't know how good it is. But again, for free, so you may be able to go to a local computer repair store that you have, or someplace close that they have some of this. So you just have them put it on for you, or you can maybe they'll sell it to you really cheap, just because this is all you're going to need. So then what I'm going to do is, before I put this back on, I bought, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I bought this JB Weld Ultimate Black RTV gasket maker and sealant. And I've already cleaned out all around here on the outside. And then I cleaned the top plate real well. And then I'm going to put just a light bead of this around it, and then put the top on and put a little clamp on it. All right, so now that I've got the gasket maker back on, I'll take my top and I'm just gonna lay it on there gently. Press down. It's gonna look good. And I've just got a couple clamps here. Just put some pressure. There we go. So I need to let this sit up. And then we'll get back to installing. Okay, as you can see, I added a few more clamps. The gasket Ultimate Black, JB Weld Ultimate Black gasket maker and sealant that I used. It's reading the directions on the back, and it says let it set up for an hour, allow it to dry for an hour, and then go back in and tighten up. Basically, tighten up the clamps. It says tighten additional half turn, I guess, if you have screws holding something down. But so I'm just gonna let it sit up about an hour, like it says. I'll tighten the clamps just a pinch, and then the actual cure time is 24 hours. So I'm gonna let it sit and dry, and then we'll install it tomorrow, and I'll video that. Okay, so I took the clamps off. Everything looks good. The last thing I'm gonna do is I've got some CRC QD electronic cleaner. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get paid for any of this, but I took the ABS unit and I sprayed out with that cleaner these contacts right here and here. And then I'm going to spray the same cleaner on the contacts for the plugs, just to make sure that they're clean. And then I'm going to install the ABS unit. So all it takes is just a little squirt. And we're going to let it sit and dry for just a second, and then we'll put the ABS unit back on. Okay, so if you remember, there's the plug in the back right here that I'm pointing to right under here. So put your module up in position. The wire's only so long. Slide your plug, snap it back into place. Then you have your big wiring harness here. before you put it on, take your module, get in a position, and it drops down. There's 6 prongs that come up out of your ABS unit. And you're just gonna drop it down into place. And then it just sits flat down on here. And then before you put your plugs on here, put your screws in. Remember, there's 4 screws each side. Okay, so just went ahead and tightened the other screws. This is my last one. It's nice and snug. You don't want to strip it out. So I've got all 4 screws. There's one here, and then 2 on the opposite side. Then go ahead and take your wire harness, plug it straight up. Locked in position, and then slide your purple clip up in there, the tab, and that's what locks that in, so it's not going to come out. Then take your last one, and it slides right up inside. The tab locks over. So now you got it back installed. Again, you got your 4 screws on, and you remember to put that back wire harness on first before you put this up on top. And then now it's for the test. We're gonna go up, start the vehicle, and test drive it and see if the ABS light is off and the problem's fixed. Okay, so let's do initial startup and see if the dash clears. All right, well, that's good news. No ABS light and no brake light. So now I'm gonna go drive the vehicle and run it over some bumpy roads and stuff out here in the country. And then I'll get back with you and we'll see how we did. Well, I went and drove several miles and no ABS light, no brake light. I drove over every bump I could hit, railroad tracks. Again, I live out in the country, and there's plenty of potholes to hit. And before that, we repaired the ABS module. As soon as I would turn the vehicle on, the light was coming on, the ABS light and the brake light. So another fix. And again, I appreciate y'all watching. I do enjoy making these videos. It's a lot of work. And if this helps you and you learn something from it, please click like, please subscribe, and please comment, and I answer all the comments that I can. And again, thanks for watching.